Well, before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on Cadigal land and acknowledge elders both past, present and emerging. And it is important to recognise that wherever you are right now, you are also on Aboriginal land. And I would like to pay my respects to all Aboriginal people, past, present and emerging. And can I say, it is wonderful to see so many parents and students online this afternoon. And what I have to say is welcome to Inner Sydney High School. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you this afternoon. What we're going to do this afternoon is touch on quite a few different areas of school life, but you don't need to worry because there'll be many opportunities to meet with you next term, whether that be online or also in person. So what we're going to do this afternoon, first of all, is introduce the team to you. These are some of the fantastic teachers we have on board at Inner Sydney High School 2020 and moving forward into 2021. So we have Nigel Kwan next to me, who is Head Teacher Science and Mathematics. I have Karen Witherden, Head Teacher English and Hizzy. I have Renee Lane, who is our Head Teacher Creative and Performing Arts. Sonia Davis, who is Head Teacher Wellbeing. I have Jeremy Lloyd, who is our Year 7 advisor for next year, and is also a fantastic music teacher. Chris Kazanis, who you might be familiar with already, is our Deputy Principal, and Jodie Kelso, who is Head Teacher Administration. And so this afternoon, we're actually going to be showing you a slide deck. And with that will be information from the people standing behind me. And what's really, really important is that if you've got any questions this afternoon, don't hesitate to post those in the chat and we'll be able to answer those questions at the end of the presentation. So on that note, we might get started. So I'll hand over to you, Nigel, just to put that slide deck up and then we can get started. Well, as you can imagine, it has been a very exciting time at Inner Sydney High School. As you can see, that's our wonderful school uniform, and that was a picture taken from day 1, 2020. But moving forward, we can see that our journey at Inner Sydney High School there's been so many aspects to developing this new school in relation to the logo, the uniform, all the very many tasks that involved our community to really bring together the culture and the school that is Inner Sydney High School. One thing I thought which is very important in terms of uniform is the fact that we're so excited by what we have for our students at Inner Sydney. You know, it's a uniform which is transitional, it's not gender-based, it's around tailored and a classic cut. And what's really important for you to remember is the uniform is available from Noon suppliers. Now, starting next term, as you can see, that's our broad range of options which are available. And that was also very important last year in developing this uniform, that we would have lots of items to suit the needs of all students. Now, as we know, children do grow quite rapidly, so I probably wouldn't recommend getting the uniform too soon. But if you do want to go and have a look, you are more than welcome to go to that address there, which you can see on screen. And don't forget, this will be actually emailed to you as well as a presentation. So you can actually go and try on the uniform, and you might like to start thinking about purchasing that towards the end of term 4. Now, what are we about at Inner Sydney High School? It is about innovation. We are in the most beautiful setting and we are so privileged to be part of this school. So our school culture is about innovation, it's about inspired learning, it's about holding high expectations, and we're constantly revisiting and thinking about the ways we can improve our systems and procedures. And fundamentally, it's so important about our collaboration and connections with our key stakeholders and also, of course, with our community. So that's why it's been wonderful to have you join us this afternoon to share what we're doing and to provide some really important information to ensure that your child has a really smooth transition into Year 7 next year. I'm going to hand over now to Jeremy, who's just going to talk a little bit about why it's important that our students are at the centre of what we do.
Hi, I'm very excited to be your advisor for the incoming Year 7. I've actually been working very closely with our current year advisor, and it's been something that's really, for me, built a lot of excitement towards this role. And I'm really excited to get to know all of our incoming Year 7s. And I just wanted to express that a core part of what we do is making sure that our students are all known, valued and cared for. And I'll keep it nice and brief and just end it there. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, now moving forward, such an important part of our school are our parents. And once again, the parent involvement last year was absolutely fantastic and such an important way for us to build the culture at our school. So I'm going to hand over now to Chris Kazanis, who actually did some fantastic work last year in setting up the PNC. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Robin. Look, it has been an incredible journey for our community and in particular our parents and carers through their involvement in PNC. They've had many opportunities to inform on some of our practices within the school and really be a sounding board for the school in terms of looking at things such as assessment, being the end users of things such as reports, wellbeing, and obviously contributing in so many different ways that might vary from what it would be like in primary school. And I just probably want to say this, Robin, that it really is about your contribution that you can make for your child's journey here at Inner Sydney High School. And most of that is actually through your input. So looking forward to 2021, there's many working groups that help inform different things that we do within the school. Obviously, there will be a lot more details that come in terms of joining the PNC from the PNC at a later stage. But we really look forward to your rich and valuable input as a community in shaping what is an incredible space that we are in.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chris. What we're going to move on now is a little bit around the language we have developed here at Inner Sydney High School, because there might be words that you might not be familiar with, particularly if you have students in high school already. So I'm going to hand over now to Karen Witherden, who's actually going to just unpack a little bit around our language at INSID.
Hello. One of the most important things is actually language, about owning the innovation in terms of how we express ourselves and how we think about things differently. And so in a few ways, we've changed and innovated around the language. So instead of homework, which was often seen serve no purpose, we have prep. So we're preparing for our learning and making sure that's authentically done. Instead of teaching programs, we have an inspired teaching framework, so that we're looking to inspire and to motivate our students around authentic learning. Instead of individual project work, we have Pursue Your Passion Day, where children have the chance to find their own voice along with the teaching of explicit skills. Instead of evaluation, we work on formative feedback, where we look to having a conversation with our children around how we improve their learning and how we see them grow and develop. Instead of roll call, we have Touchdown, where we actually connect with our students, where we touch base. Instead of traditional teaching practices, we embrace contemporary teaching practices. What is best about deep learning? What is best around the 6 C's? So that our students own their learning and so that we promote student voice and development. Instead of having a behaviour code, which might be seen as punitive, we have what matters most at INSID. What matters most if we're to go out as citizens in our world and to live deeply fulfilling and purposeful lives. Instead of the traditional parent-teacher meeting, we have student-led inspired conferences where the student takes charge of their learning journey and seeks to guide, reflect, set their own goals so that they can improve and become empowered in that process. Instead of periods, we have learning sessions where the students track how they go, where they set goals and where they receive teacher guidance. And that, in a nutshell, is it.
Thank you, Karen. Moving forward in terms of our approach to student learning, what I'm going to do now is hand over to Nigel Kwan, who's actually going to unpack a little bit about our educational model here at INSID.
Hi everyone. As you can see, we've utilised, as all science teachers like to, a good metaphor or analogy here in terms of our approach to student learning. I think it's a nice simple visualisation as to what we hope to achieve as a school with your children. That the 3 core tenets of our job are providing the establishing conditions, and that we can think of as having fertile ground, making sure that's, student well-being, making sure they're ready to learn. Through our curriculum, making sure we build strong foundational knowledge, and in that case, it's the analogy of the tree trunk. And that will allow students to really pursue those 21st century contemporary learning practices, projects, build on their problem solving and critical thinking skills in real world problems, and that's what is represented there by the foliage of the exploring the possibilities. So this is a nice simple way of our approach to student learning, and we call it the learning rainforest. So, you know, walking through a rainforest, that sense of awe with all of our students, you know, growing and, you know, having that magnificent learning environment that is our purpose-built space at Inner Sydney High School.
Fantastic, that's great. Thank you, Nigel. What we're going to do is also offer another Zoom online session next term, which will actually go a little bit deeper in relation to our educational model. All right, now you might be thinking, what will actually that look like on the ground at Inner Sydney? So I'm going to hand over now to Jodie Kelso, our head teacher admin, who's going to actually walk you through almost like a day in the life of a student at Inner Sydney High School. Thanks, Jodie.
Hi everyone. Our timetable at Inner Sydney High School is a 10-day cycle, so we have weeks A and B, and we rotate through all of our subjects that we are required to deliver over that time. So what you have in front of you, you can see we have 4 learning sessions on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays, divided up with 2 half-hour breaks for our recess and lunch that you may know it as in primary school. Our Tuesdays look a little bit different, where we have a learning session and a Pursue Your Passion project, followed by sport in the afternoon. We are trialling a few timetable changes next term, so it may look a little bit different for you next year when you come, but essentially it's still the same things, we're just maybe tweaking the order of those. So our day starts at 8:50 in the morning. On Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, we finish at 3:10. And on Tuesday after sport, we finish at 2:40 and then 2:50 on a Thursday. Our students really get to practice their self-regulation because we don't have bells here at NSID, so we're all just going by our clocks, and that's working out very nicely. I'll hand over to Chris Kazanas to discuss sport.
Thank you, Jodie. We're actually very fortunate to sit between 2 particular zones for sport, and obviously part of our consultation and where we spoke about engaging our community was the importance of sport, in particular competitive sports for our students. So we're very fortunate at INSID to be able to offer grade, recreation and house sport. So for a lot of primary students out there, grade sport's similar to the old PWSA, but in a high school format. We are a part of a particular zone that competes against other schools in relation to grade sport. Being a part of this incredible educational precinct also, we do have numerous amounts of recreation activities that can be done as sport, and they can be chosen. So student voice and choice will determine whether they would like to do some grade sport, recreation sport, and then we also do have house sport options. On top of that, we do have our representative pathways all the way to our combined high schools, which is called CHS, New South Wales CHS competitions, and we do have knockout competitions and representative pathways in all of the major sports. Students do have an opportunity to trial for those teams, as well as as a school we can combine our students to create a team to enter in the CHS knockouts. Moving on from that, we actually then go to our incredible amount of extracurricular activities that we do have on offer. And keep in mind, this is just for a cohort of Year 7, where there are 13 extracurricular activities currently on offer at the school. This has also again been through our feedback loop that we do get from students in regards to Friday feedback, which is an element that will be covered in one of our later Zoom sessions. But some of those activities before, after and during school, catering for all different needs of students, obviously for all different interests, and we really strongly encourage our incoming cohort next year to engage in those opportunities. In terms of technology and leveraging digital technology to enhance student outcomes and learning is really important. And we are very fortunate enough to have worked quite tirelessly to ensure that we do have one-to-one access for technology, that being laptops for every one of the students provided by the school. The importance of this in terms of our educational model is around facilitating the personalised and student-centred learning and ensuring that we have the opportunity to engage and motivate so they can become self-directed learners. So it is a really lovely feature that we do have at Inner Sydney High School, and obviously all of your children will have the opportunity to engage with those one-to-one devices. Robin, how about our Pursue Our Passion?
Where do we begin? Do you want to go through those semester projects?
It's incredible. It's an incredible opportunity. And look, while I might actually talk a little bit about it, it is actually due to the hard work of all the staff here at Inner Sydney High School. We start by exploring the sense of identity and what it means to be a student within a high school, within this incredible contemporary space. And then we move on to interests such as sustainability. So students have an opportunity to dive deep on those Tuesdays before sport to be able to create all these different little projects and opportunities to have really interrogate and have feedback given by the community on some of their initiatives. And recently we did have, for example, we have a Shark Tank that's coming up for our students where they're actually preparing sustainable projects that are achievable within the school to apply for sustainability grants, and with the hope and opportunity that they can then implement these strategies and see them come into fruition. So those pursue your passion projects, and that opportunity sits above the required curriculum that we do have endorsed by NESA and by obviously the Department of Education. But we have really been fortunate and innovative enough to be able to squeeze that in so students have an opportunity to dive deep in something that can potentially turn into one of their passions, or moving forward into year 8 or year 9, actually elect their own passion to pursue.
Fantastic. I know we're doing some great work at the moment in exploring what we're going to be doing for year 8 next year. Look, it's probably worthwhile mentioning at this point, we had great plans to have school tours, but unfortunately due to COVID, it hasn't been possible. So as soon as we can have those restrictions that might be lifted, then we'll be able to organise some try booking tours throughout the school. As you would be aware, we are occupying heritage buildings 1, 2 and 3. The tower, which we're very excited, we see great developments every day, and that will be finished by the end of the year. So as you can imagine, our Year 7 students are very keen to have a tour of the tower, and we are hoping that we'll be able to have some tours hopefully by the end of the year, but definitely we'll be ready day 1, term 1, 2021. Okay then, now moving forward to our transition dates. Not to mention again COVID, but of course, I know Jodie, we put a lot of work into our transition plans for term 4, and a lot of it is dependent on the COVID restrictions. So what I'll do is hand over to you just to unpack a little bit about each of these events that we have coming up.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Our family interviews, we've decided to go online with these this year, regardless of COVID restrictions, because we do have such a large cohort coming through. Tuesday the 17th and Wednesday the 18th of November from 8 AM till 4:30 PM are the time slots that will be available. We will be inviting you to participate in a 15-minute online meeting with your child to discuss their achievements, strengths and any support that may be required when they come to high school. We will email you all these details, so please don't rush for a pen to scribble it down. We'll be hosting Orientation Day on the 1st of December. The format of this is to be confirmed. We're awaiting details from the Department of Education as to whether we can hold that on site or it needs to be done in an online format. And again, we will be covering details about starting school and what you need for term 1, day 1, 2021. Next year, if we fast forward to March, hopefully COVID will be long behind us. We would love to have all of you on site for a welcome evening between 6 PM and 8 PM. That's an opportunity to meet and greet the staff from INSID as well as our fantastic PNC. And again, just to reinforce, that's depending on COVID restrictions.
Thanks, Jodie. Okay then, so you might be thinking where to next. So what we're going to do is provide some more online Zoom sessions in term 4. As you would have seen earlier, we have Renee Lane, head teacher Kappa, Karen, as you heard before, and also Sonia Davis, our head teacher wellbeing. But really those areas of wellbeing and the extracurricular and the music programs really need a lot more time. So what we're going to do is devote those 3 sessions, those 2 sessions in particular, to what matters most at INSID, about our wellbeing framework and positive education, and our student leadership and extracurricular. A lot of information will come from Renee Lane and her team there. The first one, the educational model, we've touched on that this afternoon, but once again, that really does need a session to itself to really unpack all the work we're doing in terms of curriculum and all those extra activities and features that'll be later on next term. All right then, now in terms of communication, it's been great to have contact earlier in the year in terms of our open night. and unfortunately we haven't been able to engage face to face, but however, please keep in contact with us via our school website, through our Facebook page, our Twitter feed, our Instagram, and also our dedicated YouTube channel. So please, keep up to date. Our newsletter comes out every fortnight. That's posted on our various social media channels. So it is a great way to keep in touch with InSyd. As well as that, because we could talk about Inner Sydney High School all day and all night, what we are going to be developing is a series of podcasts as well in the key areas of school life. So keep tuned for those as well. So look, that brings us to the end of our presentation. So what is important to do is we'd really like to hear from you. We'd really like to know about perhaps what are the burning questions you might have. What are the areas that you would like a bit more information on? So what we can do is attempt to answer your questions now. And I will ask my team that might like to come forward, because I can see, even though without my glasses on, there are quite a few questions in relation to music. So I think it's worthwhile if I just could get Renee Lane to come forward and perhaps give a very quick 2-minute overview about our music program, because I know that next term we will devote a whole Zoom session to that one. Is that okay, Renee?
Sure.
Thank you.
So we currently have a concert band and a vocal ensemble in operation, and as we grow concert band, obviously we'll look at the stage band as well in a couple of years' time. So our bands are conducted by Jeremy Lloyd, who is the year advisor for next year, and probably the best thing would be at the start of next year we'll put out information about rehearsal times and how you can join the band and that sort of thing. But we're definitely really excited and hope next year we'll be able to do all the performances we intended on this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. I can see that there are some questions about our 13 extracurricular activities. What we could probably do is either, I'll throw that one to Chris, and we can also actually send that out via email as well.
Thanks. And I noticed, I noticed Sarah did ask that question. Thank you, Sarah. And look, we are incredibly excited about all those different opportunities that students do have. In terms of the best place probably to find it is through our newsletters. We do actually publish a lot of the different activities in terms of what the students have an opportunity to engage with, which is really exciting. But what it does is it actually gives them an opportunity to make sure that they make their way not only out of the classroom, but also into different spaces to build those deeper connections. But some of the activities that you did ask, we do actually have a prep club that we run during break time, which allows students to get extra assistance in their classroom activities that they're doing. We also have the Learning Hub after school, which is a great opportunity to talk to subject matter experts in particular interests, as well as maths explorers, so an opportunity to extend yourself in mathematics. Drama, dance, vocal, we've already spoken about, obviously the concert band that's been mentioned. Creative writing, mini figurines, public speaking, debating, art club. I mean, I could keep going on. There is physical activity through the Busybodies program that occurs during break times. And, ultimately it's all about student voice and choice. So we are still even investigating to this day different interests that students do have here at Inner Sydney High School. And as our population grows, we start to get a bit of an idea of how to best cater for all the needs of our students. So if there is something that is identified, Feedback Friday is a great opportunity for students to provide feedback, and then as a school we are very responsive in addressing those concerns or issues and making sure that we do allow for those opportunities in terms of extracurricular. But thank you for that question.
Okay, first I'm just going to run through, we've only got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to do a fairly quick run through in terms of responding to your questions. The first one is about the Chatswood to Trum school uniform. In the ideal world, once we have our restrictions lifted, hopefully we can have parents on site to try on the uniform. So we will inform you about those details next term, but I can tell you that we do have an on-site shop, but unfortunately we can't have parents on site at the moment. So as soon as we know, we'll certainly communicate that information to you.
Can I just say, Jason has almost read our mind. In terms of the swim team, that's actually one that we're investigating currently. We are looking at our partnership with Prince Alfred Park, but thank you for that question. Hopefully, by the time your child makes their way onto the grounds, that will be up and running.
Okay. Will there be a dedicated school bus to InSyd? Not at the moment, until our numbers grow. At the moment, we are making the most of the public transport opportunities available to the school. Will the Inner Sydney High School be known for anything? We are known as a comprehensive co-educational public high school, and we're sort of proudly comprehensive, to be honest with you. So we are, you know, we do excel in all aspects of school life. The swim team, the grades for next year, I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but in terms of the year groups, next year we'll have year 7 and we'll have year 8. Another question is about the languages. This year we actually did offer French, and we will also consider what options are available next year, so we'll keep you posted about that one. I think it's important to remember about not all the extracurricular are not necessarily to do with physical activity. A lot of them might be passive activities, such as public speaking. It could be our prep club. There are opportunities like that as well. I'm just going to scroll down. How big is the cohort? At this point in time, we have a ceiling of up to 200 students, and we do have families moving into the area on a regular basis. So at this point in time, if I could just be honest with you and say it's somewhere between 150 and 200 might give you some idea about that.
Robin, I see the question from Pia just about bringing your own laptops. So
Oh,
we are very fortunate that we have been able to procure laptops, but there is an element that we do ask for our community, and obviously we'll keep you posted in regards to that in terms of supporting that through a particular levy. But every student will have their own laptop, you know, that is theirs allocated for the year. It ensures that it is equitable for all students, and it also ensures that day 1, term 1, everyone is ready to start.
Yeah. And also, if anyone has any concerns about payment of school fees, of course we'll be able to provide information about that as well, because we want to make sure that all of our students have access to all aspects of school life. Is the compulsory uniform items? We have made it deliberately flexible. So what we want you to do is choose items out of the range of uniform options. To be honest with you, ties are not optional. Currently we have students who wear them, they look great, but not necessarily every day. So it's really up to our students to really exercise their own choice, but as long as it's within the suite of options for our school uniform. Just moving down. I think that's the only one there, the LGBT.
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually very interesting from Rachel, just in terms of the LGBTQIA. I want to make sure I get all the letters there. We actually do have training that we'll be participating in as a school. We are comprehensive. I think that's what it comes down to, and all students come from all different walks of life and have their own sense of identity, and equally as a school we do embrace those identities. So by all means, absolutely, we are at the melting pot in terms of our location. And that is definitely a factor that is addressed within the school. So it is very inclusive and of all walks of life. And I think that that's a really important point to be made.
Thanks,
truly
Chris.
Comprehensive.
And just going back to the other question about the pros and cons of having only 2 year groups within the school, one thing I would say is the capacity and the growth we have seen from our students for being the only year group has been absolutely incredible this year. We have student-led assemblies. Our students have led a wellbeing, a kindness week. There was some great work around social justice. And I think that comes with being the only year group. So we can only see that our students will grow and really flourish within the environment of only having a relatively, a small number of students within our school site. One more from us, sorry.
From Jason, I might take that one, right?
Okay,
that's okay. Yeah, just so 75-minute classes, Jason, and for obviously everyone that's out there that's viewing. It is so important to allow for our students to actually dive really deep in terms of the work that they are completing, and not just work on a superficial level. So what we are currently doing is evaluating that from students, staff and our current community. But for what we can see at the moment in terms of our data, it's indicating that it is incredibly, has an incredibly good impact on the students, allowing them to the point where students will turn around and go, what, 75 minutes over already? Absolutely, that actually happens on a daily occurrence for some of our teachers. So yes, 75 minutes is a really big part of our educational model in allowing our students to dive deep.
Well, look, I hope you've enjoyed our presentation this afternoon. As I mentioned earlier, we really are so excited to see you all next year. I really hope you tune into our next presentation around our educational model. And so I look forward to seeing you then. I'll hand back to you, Nigel.
Thanks, Robin.
Hi everyone, I've just been notified. Unfortunately, we've reached our 100 person cap, which is really, really great. Part of the reason for that, and apologies for those families who couldn't make it and are maybe watching this on YouTube, is because of trying to make it as easy as possible for everyone to jump in. So those sessions that Robin is discussing, I might ask you, can you please make sure you register a Zoom account? We'll send out the link for that, and that may look a little bit different next time. So that will ensure that we have more people able to join. So again, apologies to those families who couldn't join us live, but it is a bit of a plug for that YouTube channel, which will also come out and contain this recording as well as some recordings from previous sessions that we've run that may be of use to you.
And as always, any questions, just email the school. We're more than happy to answer those questions. So obviously the lines of communication are always open, as we showed in our presentation.
Great. All right then. On that note, thanks everyone. Have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.